Hello everyone. Today we will review the movie Daddy's Home. Now this movie came out 5 years ago, and I believe it's been a while, but I believe I did go to see this in theaters. Sorry, let me just move this a little bit closer. Oh. Okay, that's better. So this is about Will Ferrell. He is the stepdad, Brad, of these two kids, and he's really trying to make the kids love him anyway, by doing his best, putting his best effort forth. But they kind of tease him about the way he is and the fact that he gets super emotional and things like that. And then eventually the real father calls one day, and the mother, and why can't I think of her name? I forgot where I was. Right. The real father calls. The mother hasn't talked to him in 6 months, even though Brad and her have been married for 8, I believe, or together for 8. Married for 8 or together for 8. Let me just, sorry. I should have this stuff pulled up beforehand, but I never seem to, for whatever reason. Loading. Okay. Later. What was the wife's name? Come on. Hurry up. Oh, yes, Sarah. Okay, so his wife's name is Sarah. They haven't talked. She hasn't talked to her ex-husband Dusty in 6 months, even though her and Brad have been married together for 8. I do believe it was together. Anyway, Dusty shows up and starts to kind of meddle in Brad and Sarah's life, making Brad kind of look like the bad guy, I guess, because he wants to obviously win his kids back over after being gone for so long and not really being a part of their lives for, I guess, a very long period of time. So Dusty and Brad start kind of competing in, like a very sneaky way as to who is the better father, and eventually that plan completely backfires on them. But Brad is a very forgiving person, and Dusty seems to be like the kind of he's not military, but I guess he was like possibly some sort of like secret agent or something, because it seems like he has a lot of stories about being in some sort of uh, secret service job, secret service profession, I guess would be the correct words I'm looking for here. I don't know why I can't think of a good word to describe that. I feel like this is going to fall over. Anyhow, so one of the things Brad says that he does, that Dusty does, is ride a motorcycle. And that scene goes horribly wrong because Dusty asks Brad to fix it, or just move it out of the way for Sarah, and then Dusty comes out and says, "I'm not sure you can handle that," and he goes, "Oh, I can handle it. Go back in and have your shower." And then when Brad goes to hit the throttle, the bike does a wheelie and goes up into the house, around the stairs, comes out of the window, and crashes onto their car, and completely destroys the whole roof of the car. And they drive it around the rest of the movie that way, which isn't logical, but I guess for comedy purposes it made sense. Dusty buys a dog, a stray dog, and calls it Tumor because of how much it grows on you. So that was kind of comical. He thought the dog was a lot older than it was. It ends up at the end of the movie that the dog Tumor was only 5. So I guess we're going to have the dog for quite some time. What was one of the other ones? So anyway, they kind of... Oh, the treehouse. Dusty finishes building the treehouse for his son. Instead of Brad being able to do it, they hire this contractor. He makes Brad look like he's racist for keeping him on and not being able to do the work himself. and then he makes Brad look bad by firing him. So it's very undermining or underhanded kind of things that Dusty does to make Brad look like the bad guy and him look like the winner. Eventually, it seems like they're kind of coming to terms with one another, and then all of a sudden, Dusty says that he does like Brad, but he's still going to try to win his family back. And then eventually, Griff was the contractor that helped Dusty finish the treehouse. So they become friends, and Griff kind of moves into the house himself, even after Dusty does. So they've got like one, two, three, six people living in the house by the end of the movie. Anyhow, Brad finally has had enough. He makes it Christmas in like the middle of, was it May, April or May, sometime around there. It was funny. So then he takes them to this basketball game that, and then you figure out that Dusty knows one of the strength and conditioning coaches on the Lakers. So Brad spending way too much money on almost like front row seats, like they were pretty close, from a scalper, ends up getting duped even more by Dusty because his son, who's a huge LA Lakers fan, and gets to meet Kobe, but due to Dusty. So Brad just spends the entire game getting drunk, and then his seat gets called to go take this free throw shot from half court, and he just makes a fool of himself in front of everybody in the basketball arena. It was quite a hilarious scene. You have to watch the movie because I'm not going to go into huge detail about that. And then basically Brad has to leave. He gets kicked out. So does Dusty at the same time, as well as Griff, because somehow he was still in the house while the rest of the family was gone. So that was kind of funny. So Dusty kind of moves in as the main guy who's taking care of the family now, but he cracks under pressure and just leaves the kids at school. Seems like he's going to leave again, and then Griff comes to tell Brad about what happened. So Brad goes to find Dusty, tells him he can't leave. So then they end up going to the daddy-daughter dance, the two of them together, and Brad basically says to Dusty, like, I know we've had our differences sort of thing, but you need to stay for these kids. They're growing up fast, and you don't want to miss that. So Dusty does decide to stay. He builds a house a few doors down from Brad and Sarah, and he's making a lot of money off of Brad's radio company because now he's the voice of it, due to the fact that Brad took him to work one day and he's going through all these voices of what should be the radio commercial, and then Dusty does his little bit, and that's the voice that they chose. So it just ends up, it just seems like Dusty is taking over Brad's whole life in a certain way. So, but other than that, I believe that's all I have to say about this movie. I would give this movie a definite 10 out of 10. It was quite hilarious. One other scene was the skateboarding scene in the backyard after the treehouse, where Brad thinks that he can still do the stunts that he used to do when he was a kid, and he jumps off the roof onto the skateboard ramp and then into like the telephone wires and just gets electrocuted. He actually dies in that scene. I know it's very slapstick comedy, some of this, so it's quite funny. But anyhow, I guess at the very end scene, they find out that the bully that Brad's son, or the son, was talking about ends up being a girl. So he punches the girl in the face and then kicks her where her nuts should be because that's what they told him to do. And and then the dads get into an argument and quite a heated debate. And then they end up doing the dance off, which is what Brad suggested they should do in the beginning anyway. But Dusty said no, he needs to learn how to fight, so that plan backfired on them as well. But yeah, this movie is a definite 10 out of 10. It's just a great comedy movie, and I forgot that Bill Burr was at the very end of it. He was the dad of the girl, so but you can tell that the girl has a crush on him, Brad and Dusty's son, and that's why she's bugging him so much. So they end up dancing at the end. That was kind of a cute scene between the two kids. Funny but cute. And then that's where the movie ends. With actually, because now Dusty is a stepfather too to his new wife, and then the dad of that girl shows up at the very end of the movie, and it's John Cena, and Metallica, For Whom the Bell Tolls, is playing. So that was a funny scene too, because now Dusty has to go through all the things that he put Brad through. So I guess we'll see where the next movie goes. Although I can't remember whether Mark Wahlberg was even in the second one now. I don't think he was. I think it was more focused on the dads, but I guess I'll go and watch it again just eventually, just to see, because I can't really remember the second one as well. But yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment your thoughts on this movie down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.